Hey guys, I'm Amber and my co-host here is Katie. Welcome to the Brown Girls Guide podcast where we discuss everything we wish we knew growing up.
Hey guys, if you missed our last episode about upskilling yourself after school, please do go have a listen. There are some helpful tips and tools in there. You can also check out some of our suggested resources from that episode on our social media channels.
Yes guys, please do check out our social channels and follow, like and share our pages. We would really appreciate the support as we continue to grow this podcast with your help. It's been such a fun journey so far, and even though both Kelly and I are still getting used to the sound of our voices, oh my god guys, we are really enjoying recording these.
The sound of our voices is actually a great segue into today's topic. But before that, I know you have wine today, Amber. Please tell me about it. What are you drinking and how are you doing in general? How's this week been? How's it going?
Well, for my wine today, it's something you're not going to be very impressed by because those people that sell the boxes of wine and it's it's cheap wine. It's cheap wine and I don't know what it is really. It tastes like a Cab Sav. It's dry and it's got like that acidic taste to it. So I'm just going to say I'm having a Cab Sav today and it's going down really well. I wish I had a white wine though because it's flipping hot today, but I'm determined to finish this bottle before I buy anything else.
Are you drinking box wine? Or are you just drinking wine made by the same people who make
No, it's not
box wine?
It's not box wine. Are you color killing? You know when you order wine from people and you get a box of wine, but it's like 6 bottles in a box? And it's just like this unlabeled, here's the wine.
It's a Checkers Odd Bins vibe.
Yeah, that kind of vibe. And it's like, this is red, this is white, enjoy. Like there's no explanation. You just drink it.
I've got no issue. I've got no issue with odd bins and that kind of vibe, so that's actually perfectly fine. Nice. I'm glad that you're enjoying it though. I am drinking the same as last week, a Mirandel Sauvignon Blanc, but instead of a warm glass, it's a nice cold glass because it's been in the fridge for a week. So I'm drinking a week-old bottle of wine, but this week it's cold.
I think that's fine.
So it's been really great.
And it's the perfect day for cold wine.
It is the perfect day. And it's not, look, I want to say, I don't rely on wine to alter my mood. Just want to put that out there. I only drink once a week when we record this podcast anyway. But it really has helped today. I felt a bit emotional today. Just overwhelmed. I've had a lot of work to do and had a bit of a cry this morning in the middle of my workout. I was there lifting weights. I was skipping and I just had a bit of a cry. So the wine is just helping with my stress levels at the moment.
Yeah, I understand. I feel the same. I also had a cry today. Things just got a bit too much. You know, you go through those phases where there's just so much happening, like when it rains, it pours, and then other times you're just chilling. I'm currently in that phase where everything is just a lot. And today, it was too much. So I had my little cry. I got through the day, and now I'm having my wine. I feel much better. And like Kelly said, I don't drink wine to alter my mood. It's just really coming in handy today. So super glad I have these odd bins.
I'm glad for you too.
Yeah, right. So today's one is a topic that I know a lot of colored people are going to relate to, especially if you are from Cape Town.
Absolutely. Today we're talking about, I'm going to do a drum roll on my desk. That's not going to sound great when I edit this later. Today we're talking about colored accents in the workplace. How does it affect us? Mm-hmm. Is it something you try to hide in a professional setting? Do you feel embarrassed by the way you sound compared to other colleagues? We are unpacking it all.
And this is a topic I've been dying for us to talk about, especially since both of us are in the media and comms industry, and how we present ourselves is important. And for like a very long time, I thought my accent had something to do with how professional I was. I used to be so nervous to speak up in meetings because of how flat my accent has always been. And I think even now I still sound flat. I haven't changed since I started in PR. I still sound the same. And even though I say I used to be nervous, I kind of still do get nervous if it's new people, new clients I'm speaking to. I always think, oh God, maybe just, round that R a little bit. I can just never succeed. But you sound totally different to me, though. Did you find that you were conscious about your accent at all?
I don't know how I sound different to you. I think it's just because I'm English and you are Afrikaans. You're Afrikaans, right? Like is your first language.
Also, you roll your R's between 9 and 5 sometimes.
Okay. Wow. Okay, then. I'm actually really nervous to discuss this topic at length because I know how controversial it can be. But it needs to be discussed. And yes, I am definitely conscious of how I speak. Even just saying yes instead of yes.
Yes.
Yes, I'm definitely conscious of how I speak. But for my story, I need to take you back to primary school. So I went to what we would call a white primary school, a former Model C school. This was in 1994, pre the first democratic election in the same year, but in Jan, obviously. And only 2 years since that particular school started accepting non-whites. Needless to say that the school was, really white. My sister, very much so. My sister had been there for 2 years before me, so I kind of already knew what to expect. Do you know that to fit into that school, I completely changed how I spoke? As a 6-year-old, I thought I'd sound better if I spoke like a white person. How ridiculous is that?
Oh my God.
Anywho, fast forward over 2 decades later, and yes, I'm still very conscious of how colored I sound. Why do we feel this way? It's just so stupid. I'm actually really proud of being a colored woman, and I don't know why I still play into that stupid stigma.
I'm proud as well. And to be honest, I never really took note of how colored, I don't even think it's that, colored my accent was until I had to deal with white people every day, which sounds funny. But for the most part, my whole life was spent around people of color, like colored and black people, and people that sounded like me. So I didn't really care. And my teachers were white because I also went to Model C schools, both primary and high school, but both of them were Afrikaans. And, obviously the accent was not, as you would expect, proper, English people to sound. The stigma seems to still be so hectic. And I think as colored people, we sometimes put a lot of pressure on ourselves to sound better in, quotation marks, hoping that it would sound more, or we sound more like white people, or will be more accepted or acceptable. And what started to annoy me, though, is that from us feeling so ashamed and, being teased for our accents, it's now being turned into this cool slang that non-colored people use. Especially so these dudes in industries, I just want to cringe every time I hear someone say or away or look. And it's just I know it's not part of how you really speak. And it's not that I mind the actual words. Obviously, as a country, we have so much slang that we all, take part in from different cultures. But why do you have to do the colored accent with it?
I hate that. But media, and especially advertising, love to perpetuate colored stereotypes. What a nice word, they perpetuate. They love to perpetuate the colored stereotypes, and they love a good colored accent. But it's almost never in a setting that isn't showing the colored person as someone with a lower education or someone on a lower social ranking, whatever that may mean.
Exactly.
And this has definitely played into how colored people also see themselves and their accents on a professional level. In my job as a motoring journalist, I was probably 19 or 20 when I started my internship. In my job as a motoring journalist, I worked with a lot of white men. And I found that because I was so desperate to fit in, even I made fun of colored accents, which sounds really silly because I'm colored. But even I would put on a harsher accent, to make colored people the butt of the joke. And I'm really ashamed to even say that. But I felt like I needed to, and I felt like I needed to speak differently around them, to sound smarter or wiser or whatever. And it wasn't until I moved on from there and onto a much more diverse team that I started to notice how absolutely fucked up that was. But we know that there is an accent bias in the workplace. And I recently read a Forbes article that mentions that research has shown that we tend to unconsciously group people into a specific social class and prejudice against them based on their accent. This happens and continues to happen to colored people all the time.
I can believe that. And it's so annoying. And I know exactly what you mean about joking about the colored accent to fit in. I mean, I've done the same. And like you said, it's not something you're proud of at all because I just wish I could kick 21-year-old me in the butt for doing it. But at the time, you are so pressured to perform in a certain environment. There are so many power dynamics at play. And you want to show you're not that colored person, the one that sounds hum and isn't intelligent or whatever stupid stereotypes were being perpetuated. And it's so fucked up how years of discrimination make you internalize this hate. Well, hate is a strong word, but I can't think of anything else. But I started cringing when I would hear other colored people speaking black. And when someone is your manager or in a position of power and they make colored jokes, it kind of throws you off because what do you do? And you can't believe someone is saying it. So you kind of freeze. Yeah. And it's that kind of confidence people have to just be offensive and then laugh it off as just imitating a culture. That's what gets to me the most. Can you remember, I think it was last year, a certain Japanese South African TV personality who proudly made a video singing Too Legit to Quit. I don't know if you know that song, while pretending she had no front teeth. It makes me so mad because it's fine if you want to sing the song or make a TikTok or whatever and do a voiceover. Why do you have to perpetuate the stereotype that colored people don't have front teeth? Why do you have to make it seem that way? And then people keep saying we're so sensitive. That I can't deal.
I remember that video and how said person defended themselves I actually can't roll my eyes any harder right now, remembering it all. It's really annoying to have to feel that in certain situations, I need to like censor my accent. And I know I still do it.
No.
Like my husband already knows that there's my work voice and there's my home voice. And it's just like, it's just
true.
years and years of being made to feel that having a colored accent makes you feel less professional in certain environments or in certain industries. The Forbes story that I mentioned earlier, it actually goes on to speak about how research has shown that it takes us less than 30 seconds to linguistically profile a speaker and make quick decisions on their ethnic origin, their socio-economic class, and their backgrounds. And we are more likely to be biased against speakers who have accents that are different to ours or are markers for undesirable characteristics that we unconsciously attributed to certain accents. This has got to stop, guys. The more we portray the colored accents as lesser than, and I say that in inverted commas, the longer this feeling will carry on within our communities. And I am just personally tired and hurtful of it all.
I'm heartful of it too. And I'm also so tired of the familiarity a lot of people who aren't part of color culture have when they hear my accent. Like, no, I don't want to talk to you just because you think it's going to be cool to get out all the terms you picked up somewhere on TV or whatever. And this actually happened to me when I had to go to another city for work a few years back. And there were people like managers or whatever from all over the country for this conference. And there were guys from Joburg we made friends with, but they were so excited to hear a Kaapse accent in real life. I could not stop rolling my eyes.
Gosh.
And they kept trying to like say terms with me and get me to say it in my accent, and they'd laugh and high five me. And I thought, what the fuck is going on?
I'm actually
And
rolling my
I was
eyes
literally
right
the
now.
joke. I was actually like the joke. That was what it was. And I think the key to us changing the way people perceive colored accents is just to own it, just own your accent and call people out when they're being offensive. Who cares if it's awkward for a moment, like now it goes quiet. If someone genuinely doesn't know why it's offensive and you tell them to stop, then they will. But if you get those people that are defending their right to be obnoxious, there's just no hope with it. But don't copy the accent. That's where you cross the line. And I know it's easier said than done because I definitely struggle to call people out when I'm offended. Mostly because I'll be in a power dynamic situation and I don't want to be tense, but I need to learn to shake it off.
I hate confrontation. Just the thought of it actually makes me anxious. So I don't actually like calling people out. But you are so right. We need to actually just own it. Times are changing and colored people and colored women in particular are tired of being a joke. So if you're listening to this and you're not colored, first of all, thank you for listening. But also, please check yourself if you're ever making fun of a colored accent or thinking less of someone because of their accent or judging someone on it. I don't know if you've noticed, like many people think that it's adorable when like a white Afrikaans girl like speaks English with an Afrikaans accent. But then they'll go on to make fun of a colored person who's doing the same thing. Those are such double standards. And we ask that everyone just please check themselves when they're doing
and like beyond the Afrikaans accent, even like any like European kind of accent, people think is like endearing or sweet or whatever.
Yeah.
Why is a colored accent supposed to be something that's frowned upon or is a joke? It's just it's very weird.
And just while we're on that, just quickly, off script to everyone listening. It's the same with like, and I'm not defending our politicians who are doing a really shitty job running the country. But I mean, most of our politicians are not English first language. They speak like Xhosa, and I know it's not Xhosa, I know it's Xhosa, or Zulu, or Sotho, or like one of the other 11 official languages that's actually not English. And if they say one English thing wrong on TV or whatever it is, won't South Africans just make fun of them as though they would be able to speak Zulu fluently on the television? I can't deal with it. So people need to. So when that's happening and you're doing that, please also just check yourselves with that.
Check yourselves. And while we are just going off on a tangent, when you or your parents or your friends are at the garage to put in petrol, don't speak to someone in an accent that's not yours. Don't do it. It's offensive. You are not relating to somebody. You are mocking their accent. Don't take on an accent that is not yours. It's just not cool and it's not fun or enjoyable for the other person. They are understanding what you're saying. You don't need to push a stereotype to get your point across. It's not cool. And like Kelly said, we are urging you to check yourself and we'll obviously do the same and be mindful of ourselves and people around us making fun of accents in offensive ways. And it's never too late to unlearn shitty things, guys. We can all be taught something. It's not too late. There are people who have taught or said bad things, but once you learn something new, once you have new information, you need to change your mindset. You need to improve as you go.
Exactly. Because once you know better, you do better. It's 2021. We're all going through like so much at the moment. So the least that we can do is be better to one another and just be lekker humans.
Exactly. And on that note of striving to be lekker humans, we want to say thank you to you all for listening every week. We really love getting your feedback and we hope you like this episode too.
That is true. We are enjoying the feedback and the interaction with everyone. So for more interaction, don't forget that you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Brown Girls Guide Pod and on Twitter at BGG Pod. We will, of course, be sharing links to the articles that I mentioned in this episode. There aren't really many other resources, but I'll share links to the Forbes article and a couple of other articles on this. And thanks again, guys. We'll be releasing another one next week. So chat in. Bye.
Bye.